In this presentation, we will be discussing the development of the 18th century architectural theory of the picturesque and how it is demonstrated in specific examples. At the time of the mid-18th century, new ideas were being introduced which helped further the design considerations and the individuality of an architect and designer. One of these ideas was the theory of the sublime, which is the ability of a structure and its surroundings to pull out our emotions based off its beauty and size. Edmund Burke was one of the leading designers who helped introduce and define the theories of sublimity and beauty, and in 1757 delivered writings which became the foundation of these design ideas. And out of these two ideas, sublimity and beauty, developed the theory of the picturesque. One of the designers that helped shape this definition of what picturesque is was Sir Uvedell Price. In an essay titled The Picturesque as Compared with the Sublime and the Beautiful, Price defines the most important elements of picturesque as something that looks natural but is highly irregular. In comparison to the sublime and beautiful, Price says that the picturesque design is determined by the point of view of the observer, not the architect. Probably the most famous creator of picturesque architecture and design in the 18th century was Capability Brown, who worked mostly in the design of gardens and landscaping. An example of a landscape that Brown worked on and designed was the Harewood House in Yorkshire, England. In this picture, we can see the outdoor garden and greenery from the back of the house. From an observer's perspective, the garden looks like the end of where Capability Brown worked. But what makes this view picturesque is the 1,000 acres of space beyond the garden that was carefully and specifically designed by Brown. The asymmetrical and almost random array of greenery making the space look so natural. But the placement of each and every tree in the distance was thought out and planned, and everything including the shape of the creek was considered and altered. Another designer that contributes to the theory of the picturesque is Thomas Sandby. Sandby was a designer and a professor as well as a draftsman. Shown here are some of Sandby's watercolors of the Harewood House. What we can see from this watercolor is that every detail was taken into consideration for the creation of this space, with it being composed from the observer's perspective. Just as important as the exterior experiences are to the picturesque, equally are the interior experiences. As shown here in the floor plans, the levels are set up asymmetrically, and the rooms are arranged in different sizes and shapes. This allows for different experiences throughout the house. In this first picture, we can see the dining hall of the house. The dining hall is lit with hidden lights in the ceiling, allowing for a bright atmosphere when in the space. The second picture is of the gallery. The main light sources are on each end of the room, relying mostly on the windows with several light stands lining the room. The division of the light sources creates an exaggeration for the actual length of the room. Another example of the picturesque is the Virginia Waters at Windsor Great Park, designed by Thomas Sandby. The space is a bridge spanning across a pond that is surrounded by trees and nature, and although this area looks natural, it was also manufactured, similarly to the Harewood House. In reference to the space and its relation to picturesque ideals, Thomas Sandby said that a picturesque design method does not include a mixture of styles or forms, rather, a unity in ornamental language, proportion, and overall experience. To conclude this presentation, it becomes beneficial to understand that picturesque is not just an 18th century idea. With the expansion of the Industrial Revolution and the beginning of the 19th century, buildings become larger and more grand, which can be described with the ideals of the sublime and picturesque. In modern-day architecture, we are in a continual longing for the LEED certification and the smallest carbon footprint possible. So, the integration of natural and architecture become imperative to satisfy this longing. This proves that the idea of the picturesque will not be going anywhere anytime soon.